Testing, testing, testing. Sounds. Okay, so Shalom Israel, Shalom Yahweh Shabbat to the brothers, Shalom Yahweh Shemal Hashem Yahshai to the sisters. We are the ISUPK, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And we are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Now today we're going to be going over, is the truth in you? Now, for anybody who's already not in the ISUPK, this might go over some people's heads. There's a difference between being in the truth, which is the ISUPK, and then having the truth in you. It's a big difference, right? It's like, you know that saying, they like to say, oh, fake it till you make it. Like, no, that doesn't apply in here. No, you have to have integrity. You have to have self-discipline. There has to be something in you, right? So that's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be reading out of the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1 through 7 in the Hebrew. And then we'll give the breakdown in the English. Give everybody just a quick second to tune in. And the thing is, the reason why we're going over this topic today is, there's a lot of things. A lot of things have been going on recently. COVID, these pagan holidays, Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff, right? It's very easy to get sucked back into the world, right? But the thing is, if you turn your back on the Most High, that means that you never really loved the Most High. You never really loved your nation. You never really loved your people, and you never really loved yourself. You didn't, because if you did, you would have stayed. For those who are already in the school, for those of you who are not in the school, who do need to come to class, I suggest you do it while you still have time, because we don't really know how much longer the Lord is going to have grace on our nation right now. Okay? So you better get right while you can. But with that being said, we're going to be getting started with the Lord's Prayer. So with that, Amijim, just me. La Yasharala, which means to Israel. All right, we're going to be getting started with the Lord's Prayer. Sisters, remember to have your heads covered. Brothers, remember to have your heads uncovered. And we'll be getting started with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashemaya, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwivka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Ladunanawa, Lakam, Call, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawatnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawatyanawa, Wala'a, Tabayanawa, Banasaiwan, Abal, Habashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wataparath, Lawalumyum, Aman. Now, this is the Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Hakak, which is the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Babakasha, Latan Lanawa, Hakak, Hakak, Larapa'ah, Call, Makala, Wakal, Madawa, Hakak, Lasahar, Ha, Matazariah, Hakak, La Aquia, Hamathium, Hakak, Isle, Rakawath, Atama Allah, Lagar Shun, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Thawada, Amun. Now in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you. So be it. The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shai, Wa Mayaka Allah, Wa Alahayim, Matazad Ya'ah, Alawap Yahana, Ha Alawapyan, Ha Sarunyan, Ha Kwatazayoyan, Ha Kayayoyan, Waha Akwafyan, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Thawada, Amun. Now the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you. So be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayunya, All, Pahoyim, Ma'ayun, Yaba'ah, Izoya, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, All Yatun, Lamawat, Ragolka, All, Yanawam, Shemorka, Hana, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashun, Shawamar, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shemorka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyamka, Yawamum, Hashamash, La'ah, Yakaka, Wairach, Balayallah, Yahweh, Yashamorka, Makal, Rai, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'athka, Wabawa'athka, Ma'ita, Wa'ai, Awalam. Now Psalms 121 in the English. Salaki. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayim, All, Damaya, Laka, All, Dakarash, All, Dashakwat, All, Kaya, Hana, Awyabika, Yahama, Yawan, Ra'ash, Ail, Amaka, Ya'imwa, Sawada, Waita, Yaitazawa, Ail, Tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidam, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Shum, Yasharala, Awada, Kaya, Naitazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Ayaka, Baryath, Yakarathwa, Ahoya, Adawam, Wa, Yashma'alim, Mawa'aba, Wahagoyim, Gabal, Wa'amawan, Wa'amalak, Palashaf, Am Yashabia, Tazawar, Gum, Ashawar, Nalawa, Aimum, Hayawa, Zarawai, Labunya, Lawat, Salah, Aisha, Lahum, Kamudyan, Kasaya, Sara'ah, Kayibyan, Banakal, Payashwan, Mashal Mudwa, Bayan, Dara, Hayawa, Dama, La'adama, Shayadamwa, Nada, Yamawa, Kairab, Wakaza Abu, Wakaza Bak, Wakaza Zor, Manai, Ko, Nasayakamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nearasha, Lanawa, Af, Naawaf, Alahayim, Alahaya, Shayadamwa, Kagogala, Kakwash, Lapunya, Salakia, Rabaka'a, Kaash, Tabaira, Yaira, Wa, Kalahaba, Talahat, Haryam, Kun, Daradama, Basairaka, Wabasa, Wapafka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyahum, Kwalawan, Waya, Bakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahawa, Adiaid, Waya, Kapawa, Waya, Abadwa, Waya, Daiwa, Kaya, Ada, Shamka, Yahawa, Labadka, Al-Yawan, Alcohol, Haratza. Psalms 83 in the English. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. A soul also was joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them, as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zaid. Yea, all their princes, as Zabat, and as Zalmunna, who said, Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a will, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Lord, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. All right, you may be seated. All right, so we're going to be reading out of the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1 through 7. Some of you might already be familiar with this record in the Bible. I don't like to say story because story, that's more, fiction, fairy tales and stuff. But this isn't fiction. The Bible is a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian book about our history. So this is a record, an event that happened. So we're going to be going out of Job, chapter 1, verse 1. Slack it. Just one moment. I take off my glasses. Slack. All right, it's the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1 in the Hebrew. Let me share. Awaash ka kayach ba ba'ad ba'ada Slovakia ba'ada taza ba'ada taza I ayataza aya ayadaba sham shamya da'ach ya'ach ka'a ya'ash ka ka ka'ach da'a. That's thumb. Da'ash, no, da'ash, daya, no, daya da'a, all, kayam, dasa, dasad, ma, madataza, waya wa la daya, lada, shaba, shabadataza, let's see, badayam, wa, waash, no, washala, yaash, ba, badaya, badayat, yath, waya, waya achya, ma, makwa, Slakia, makwataza, waya, oh no, I read that already, Slakia, shabataza, af, a, alapaya, taza'a, waash, la, shath, al, Slakia, ala, paya, paya, Salakia. Ga, gum, Salakia. Gum, laya, ath, daha, ma'ash, let's see, no, ma'aya'ach, taza'a, da, bala, balada, wa'a, mash, ma, ma 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 ya af 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 yada ya af. Let's see. Da fuck it. Da Dakala da ya ba ba ya dataza shaya ma maash da daach bayaaf ayash. Salakia, just one moment. Yeah, I've been looking at it on the phone to see when you start so I can come. Yeah, so like I usually start at 10. Has some technical difficulties. So we're reading out of Job right now. We're still reading out of the Hebrew 1 verse 4. Yeah, Job chapter 1 verse 1. So like, okay, oh why ma ya wa ash la haya ya kwa ya kwa da ada la la ash la ash la ash la again shaf shaf ah ka akaya da yaka as let's see akya da af yaka la da la da la a da la. That's two. Okay. La. Let's see. Slovakia. Waya ach ya kaya yaaf. Waya ba a ya da. Oh no. Ba da ya ka a la kaya lach thaya that tataza tatazab. This is I. Let's see. Oh, I'll. Ya. No. Ya ah. Da. Ah. Waya ba. Da. Da ah. Let's see. Qua. Ga. Gum. Ka ash. Ta. Ta ya. Baya. Waba. Waya a. Da. Ya ah. Ya ah. All. Ka ash. Ta, see, ta, ta, ta'a, ma'aya, ma'at, kaba'a, wayataza, da. Okay, Slakia. Okay, so we're gonna be reading out of the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1. And if you haven't already seen, the topic today is the truth in you. And there's a reason why we're going to be going over this specific account in the Bible. This is the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. For his substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all men of the east. So, Slakia, verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day. So, if I could stop real quick. So, right now we're reading about Job, and Job kind of, not kind of, but he does. Job got it all. Job, he got a big family. He has a lot of land, as you can tell, because he has all these herds of animals, sheep, oxen, so much and so forth. So he's living pretty well. It even said that he was one of the greatest of them all in the East. And he was perfect and upright and one that feared God, which is very important. So now, let's continue. And sent and called for, Slakia. Verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. Verse 5. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Sons of God, we go over this quite often. The sons of God are Israel, with the children of Israel. Now it says, Slakia. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also, Slakia, came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and eschewed evil? So right here, the Most High is bragging about Job, right? He's bragging about Job to Satan. Like, ain't nobody else like this man right here. This man right here, my child right here, he is a perfect and upright child of God. But this is what Satan does, right? In verse 9. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? So what he's saying right now is, does he really fear you? Does he really? Because the thing is, he's living very lavishly right now. He's got it all. He's got children. He's got the land. He's got a wife. He's chilling right now. So of course he's gonna, you know, of course he's going to show praise to the Most High, because the Most High gave him all that, which is in his eyes something very easy to do. So he's asking him, like, does he really fear you? Does he really? Let's see. Let's continue reading. So it says, Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. Like I just said before, he's given him everything. Verse 11. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. So what he's saying to the Most High is, if you let me have him for a moment, and I get at him, he's gonna turn against you, because now he's not gonna have all the great material things that you have blessed him. So let's see how much he really fears you. So in verse 12, it says, And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. So the Lord's pretty much telling Satan, like, okay, you know what? I'll prove it to you. I'll prove to you that this man right here, he really does fear me. He really is perfect and upright. So he actually let Satan have at him. That's how much. That's how much he knew Job. The reason why I'm saying he knew Job, I'll get to that a little later on in the class, right? So now we're going to continue reading what happens to Job. In verse 13, and there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabaeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So now, slowly but surely, you're going to see Job start to lose the things that the Most High gave him, right? Now it's starting with his farm. Let's call it that, farm, right? His animals, right? He's losing that. In verse 16, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven and hath burnt up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Verse 17, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So Job's getting a lot of bad news right now, right? He's hearing about all the horrible things that is happening to his animals, right? While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in the eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So now it started. It started with the animals, right? It started with the animals. Now Job just heard that his children have died. His children, okay? 7 sons, 3 daughters, right? Now you gotta understand, like as a parent, I mean, I pray no brother or sister ever has to go through this, but just imagine hearing that. Imagine all your children, all of them, gone. A tornado came through, a hurricane, a great storm, whatever, earthquake, killed them all. Now you have no kids. None of them, right? Verse 20. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So, even in the midst of all of that, even when Job lost everything, right? It's very easy. Like in today, like, okay, let's talk about it real quick. Okay, this is the difference between the Isupk and Christians. See, Christians love to thank God for everything, right? They really not. They're really being selfish, but it's very easy to be on your high horse and give thanks to the Most High, like, oh, thank you for all this money, for this house, this car, children, for my wife, like all that stuff, right? It's very easy to think like that because you're already on high in a sense, right? But the thing is, Satan wanted to come at Job because he's thinking, okay, you know what? He's on high right now, but let's see how much he really loves you when he's at his lowest. And in today's day and age, you see a lot of brothers and sisters, when they lose everything, they don't. They don't show any thanks to God anymore. They forsake the Most High. They become upset. Why is this happening to me? Well, because you've been sinning, first and foremost. Okay, but they don't know that because they're Christian. They've been taught a false doctrine by the so-called white man, right? Now, why is it important to know this? Job was in a perfect position carnally to curse against the Most High. Why? Because he lost everything. He lost all. He lost his kids. Like I'm not even gonna talk about the animals. Like the animals, like that's. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still a big thing, but he lost his children, his sons, his daughters to a storm, and there was nothing he could do about it. Now he could have easily cursed the Most High, but what did he do? We're gonna go back to verse 21. And said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not. Notice how it says, in all this. Like, it's showing you, like, even throughout all this, that's what Job is going through right now. He still didn't sin, nor charge God foolishly. Now, let's continue. The saying he ain't done with Job. In chapter 2, in the book of Job, chapter 2, verse 1. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going, oh, it's like this, servant Job, Slakia, okay, Slakia. And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. Verse 3. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil, and still he holdeth fast his integrity. That's the key word right there, his integrity. Although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. So the Most High is still bragging to Satan, like, look, have you thought about my servant Job? Even though you had me turn against him, even though all those horrible things happened to him, even though he lost his family, even though he lost all his oxen, his camels, his whole farm, pretty much, right? He lost all that. Even though his servants, like, we say this. Oh no, it's like you. But and he lost all his servants. He lost a lot of things, right? But even throughout all that, he still held on to his integrity. He still feared the Most High, right? That's why I said, are you in the truth or is the truth in you? It's a big difference. Because, okay, let me pause real quick. Anybody who is a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, it's easy to come to class. It's easy to, put on a garment. It's easy for sisters to, wrap their head up, wear a dress, dress modestly. It's easy to talk about these things, right? But what about behind closed doors? What about your integrity? Matter of fact, let's look up the definition of integrity. What is integrity? That's a very powerful word. So I'm going to look up integrity in the Merriam-Webster's Bible Dictionary. All right, so this is the definition of integrity. Firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values, incorruptible, in unimpaired condition, the quality or state of being complete or undivided. The one I'm going to focus on the most is incorruptible. That's a good one right there. Incorruptible. Job was incorruptible, right? That's how you have to be when you're faced with adversity, because it's easy to slip off, right? You can come to class for 5 weeks. You could be in a school for 5 years and then leave. If you leave, that means that you was never really with us. You was never really down for the Most High like you said you were, because you left. Your integrity wasn't really there. You are corruptible. Satan got you. You went against it, right? It's easy. And the reason why I'm saying this is easy, I mean, it's really not easy, but it's easy to fake it. You heard that term, fake it till you make it. That's not a thing in the Isupk and Commander General Yohana. You fake it, you not gonna make it. Not in here, you not. Because Lord sees everything. There's an angel, you can't see them, but they can see you, right? There's an angel appointed to each and every one of us. And they're documenting everything, both the good and the bad. And the thing is with angels, they're not in the flesh like us. Like angels don't have an issue obeying the most high. They relish it. They love carrying out an order of the Most High. Like when they were sent to go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, there was no, oh, I don't really want to, there was none of that. It was just Khan. They just did it. That was it, and they loved it. They every order that was given to them, they followed it through and through. The thing with us, though, we struggle against our flesh. We think carnally, that's what things that we got to go through, which is why Christ is the perfect being in the eyes of the Lord, because, I believe it's in Hebrews, it says that he was not made unto the nature of angels, meaning that he was made in the flesh. Christians, they're going to tell you that Christ was, some ghost or something, some little spirit wandering around. No, Christ is a man from the tribe of Judah. You get my point? He's a man. He's a brother, the best brother, right? And he was made just like us. Christ wept. Christ went through things. You think Christ didn't walk somewhere and he seen a sister that he thought was attractive? You think he didn't want to talk to her? But he had a duty that he had to fulfill. You don't think he got tired sometimes of going to camp? Let me tell you something. Christ was doing camp way before we were doing camp, okay? And you don't think Christ was getting tired of getting cussed out, getting spat on, rocks being thrown at him, people hating him, his own people hating him. You don't think he felt some type when Judas betrayed him? You don't think you feel me, sis? Like you don't think Christ didn't go through all those things? He did. He suffered temptation just like us. The thing is don't give in. Don't stray away. I just wanted to take a second to go a little bit more in depth to that, right? To go a little bit more in depth of what is integrity. It's your character. It's who you are. You got to be incorruptible. Okay, but we're gonna continue reading a little bit, right? So we're gonna start the book of Job, chapter 2. We're gonna let's go to verse 4. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. So Satan is still talking smack, like, nah, he'll turn against you. They all turn against you at some point. He's not as faithful to you as you think he is. So what the Most High do? Verse 6. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So the Lord is like, okay, you think he gonna turn against me? Here you go. You can have a whack at him real quick. Go ahead, but save his life. Verse 7. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot onto his crown. So from head to toe, boils. Right now, just remember, Job already done lost his kids and pretty much everything that he owned. Right now, he's being stricken with boils. I ain't never have a boil. I pray I never have a boil, but I've seen them and it looks extremely painful. So now he's hurting not just emotionally, suffering the loss, now it's physical. So now let's keep reading. And he took him a posture to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. Now, here's the thing. That was his wife, but that wasn't his wife speaking. I pray you understand. That was Satan speaking through his wife. That's what was going on. So now Satan's attacking him from all angles now. So he already lost his kids, he already lost his land, his servants, animals, all that. Now he's hurting physically, stricken with boils, and now even his own wife. It was his wife, but spiritually it really wasn't his wife. That was Satan taking control of his woman. That's really what it was. He was using his woman against him, which Satan does all the time, right? But what does Job do? What does Job do? Verse 10. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish woman speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. So even throughout that, he still wasn't going to curse the Most High. But Satan was bragging. Satan was like, nah, he going to turn against you. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to turn his woman against him too. Let's see how much he really loves you. And he still remained faithful to the Most High. Now, why is that so important? Your integrity, right? Who you are in here. That's why I proposed the question: is the truth in you, or are you just in the truth? Because the thing is, you could be in the truth. You could dwell amongst the Akim and Aquathim. You could, hey, Shalom on Christ, brother. You could do all that. That's easy. Those are just what they call it, going through the motions. That's what they call it, going through the motions. It's easy to go through the motions, but do you really mean it though? Do you? You have to ask yourself that seriously. Anybody that's watching, you don't have to put anything in the comments, but if you could, for Akim and Akwathim, I want y'all to really if you could, take a second and really reflect on yourself and think, do I really want this? Do I really love the Most High? Now, here's the thing. Only you know, but not just you. The Most High knows too. If I could, real quick, I'm going to go to, where is it? Jeremiah. We're going to go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Let's read something real quick. I remember growing up, my parents, uncles, aunts, they always used to say the same thing to me every single time. And I used to get so sick of hearing it. That famous saying was, I wasn't born yesterday. I've heard that so many times from my grandfather. Boy, I wasn't born yesterday. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. I already did all that stuff. You ain't slick. Well, guess what? The Most High wasn't born yesterday. Okay? And the Most High knows you better than you. Now we're going to read why. So we're going to go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Just let me know when you get there, sis. Are you there? Okay. Most High in Christ. So this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. This is the Lord. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Now, you can tie this into with reincarnation. You're born every third or fourth generation through whatever lineage your father is. So, for example, if you're a Judite, you've always been a Judite. You're always going to be a Judite. If you're a Benjamite, you're always going to be a Benjamite. If you're Ephraimite, you're always going to be Ephraimite, et cetera, et cetera. But you're always going to be Israel. That's the whole point, right? You're always going to be Israel. Like, I know some people, what is it? Like remember I was talking to somebody at my slave. They tried to say something. I hope, oh my goodness, no, I remember this one, Salakia. Just to share something with y'all real quick. I'm at the slave, talking with some brothers, and, at my slave especially, brothers love strange women. What is a strange woman? For those of y'all who don't know, it's a woman from another nation. You could read about King Solomon. King Solomon fell victim to that. And, well, he kind of fell off the deep end because he started, loving strange women, Moabites, the so-called Chinese, even Edomites, Esau himself, right? The thing is, I'm speaking with these brothers and I'm letting them know, like, I don't rock with anybody else who's not of my lineage. I like Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian women, and that's it. So one of the brothers, he said, I hope you come back as a white man. I'm like, what? I was like, what you mean? He's like, you know what? I hope you come back as somebody that loves white women. And I'm like, brother, I'm always going to come back as a brother. That's always gonna be a thing. And sadly, the brother here in the world, he didn't know any better. But that's like a very evil thing to say when you actually get into the scriptures. Like like you're wishing death upon me. So don't ever say that to anybody. You get my point. But the thing is, to go a little bit more into context of this, you've lived many lives. You might not remember, but the Lord never forgets. And you're here in the truth because you've always really been in the truth. Stay with me real quick, okay? That's why it says, okay, I'm gonna start from the top real quick. So it's book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. For the Akim who are here, who are, priests and prophets of the Lord, that you were already gonna be a priest or a prophet when you were already being formed in the belly, before you were even formed in the belly, because the Lord already knew what kind of man you were, what kind of spirit you had. For the sisters, the Lord already knows what kind of spirit you have. That's why there's only a certain select of us who are actually here in the truth. Khan says actions speak louder than words. I'm in it for the long run. Death do it. Hey, Most High in Christ. Look, Christ said, "Endure to the end." Right? Like you can't just sit here and go through the motions. Right? You can't do that. You can. Let me see. Okay, a sister can cover up. Does that mean that she's not a whore? Says like that. That don't mean nothing. There's sisters out there in the world who might not dress the part, but behind closed doors, they sleeping with Jamal and John and Bill and Steve, and she's doing all that. You can't fake it. The Lord is gonna see what you're doing because that angel is always watching what you're doing. You need to have self discipline. Now, Job is just an example of a well disciplined brother, right? Even through adversity, he still chose the Most High over everything. He chose the Most High over his own woman, which is not a very easy thing to do for some brothers out there. Brothers today, I can't tell you how many times I hear brothers, yeah, I'm gonna come to class. I come to class, and then I find out, hey man, what's going on? You said you was gonna come to class. I haven't seen you around in a while. Yeah, I was, but my girl, she tripping. She said if I come, she not really gonna rock with me no more because she don't really like the whole idea of multiple wives or whatever. Oh, okay, no sweat, brother, no sweat. We'll be here. I pray you find the. I hope you gird up your loins one day and come into the truth. But the whole point being is it's your character, it's your integrity. Okay, you can't fake. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to hate that term now. You can't fake it till you make it. Because if you faking it, you faking it. You ain't gonna get nowhere, and the Lord knows that. All right, just because you look the part don't mean nothing. Just because you got money, that don't mean nothing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read about that real quick. We'll go to let's go to Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 28, verse 6. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 28, verse 6. 28. Okay. You there, sis? Okay, so this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 28, verse 6. Better is the poor that walketh in his in his uprightness, than he that is perverse in his way, though he be rich. Money don't mean, I wish I could say the other word, but money don't mean ish in the Isupk, the Commander General Yohana. It's your character, brother. Nobody cares how many bands you got. Nobody cares how nice your car is. Nobody cares about how many women you slept with, which honestly ain't really nothing to be proud of anyway. See, okay, let me put it into perspective for y'all real quick. Not to go too off topic, but see, brothers, brothers in the world, right? We all fall victim to this. You're brought up to think you can sleep with a whole bunch of women, right? And just leave them. That's it. You just have sex with them and you leave them. And you that dude. You that dude. You didn't have sex with 40, 50, 60 women. You that dude now. It probably burned downstairs if you know what I mean, because you're probably not even doing safe sex anyway. But the whole point is that you're being glorified for sin. Let me tell you something right now. If I could, real quick, for any brother that might be watching this, and you ain't got to put none in the comments, take a second, if you could, think of all the women that you slept with in your life. Just take a second. Now, think right now, how many of them are present right now in your life? Probably not even half of them. There is no glory in that, brother. Okay? What's the point of getting a rib if you not even gonna be with her? No, that's not righteous in the eyes of the Lord. Okay, that's why half of y'all be having STDs anyway. You need to stop doing that mess. But Salakia, the whole point is your integrity has to do with your character, your actions. Okay, you can't put on a front. You can only put on a front for so long before you get found out. What's in the dark must come to light. That's in the Bible too. Okay, you're always gonna get found out. The Lord will expose you. And the funny thing is, you never know how it's gonna happen. You never know when it's gonna happen. See, the thing is, Job was in a perfect position to just be like, F it. I don't care no more. I don't care. I done lost everything. I'm going to curse against the Most High. And Satan just would have been right there like, yep, see, I told you. But no, he didn't do that. See, when you get them thoughts in your head to do anything that's wicked or anything of that sort, it's not really you that's talking. It's the demon that's on you. That them little thoughts in your head, that's not you. That's the demon whispering them sweet nothings in you. Like y'all seen them like them little old cartoons, like old Tom and Jerry cartoons, where they got the demon on one shoulder and they got the angel on the other one. And the angel's always telling them like, no, don't do that. Da, da, da. And then the little demon right there, oh no, go ahead, go sleep with that woman. It don't matter. No, you cool. Like go ahead and sleep with her. I know she got a man, but he ain't got to find out. You good. You've done it before. That's the big one right there. You've done it before. There's the excuse. Matter of fact, we were just Captain Gadar was going over this during Thursday breakdown class about Amnon. For those of y'all who don't know about Amnon, Amnon was one of King David's sons, and he was a brother that was sexually attracted to his sister, not like a sister. I mean, like his biological sister, right? And when you read the context of it, there's a moment where he's speaking to I forgot his name. It's his cousin, Salakia. Absalom. That's his name. Salakia. Absalom. He speaks with Absalom, his cousin, and it says that Absalom was a very subtle person, right? Subtle meaning like he was like a shady dude. He was kind of like that dude, like I don't really trust him. Like how Judites do. Judites be like, I don't really rock with that dude. He a little funny, iffy, he wishy washy, right? So Amnon, he goes to his cousin, right, and he tells him what's up. He's telling him like he's been vexed because he wanted to have sex with his actual sister. Now the reason why he was vexed was because he was struggling. He was struggling because in his mind, in his spirit, he knew that it was wrong to do such a horrible thing, right? But he was looking for an excuse. Stay with me now. He looked for an excuse because when he went to his cousin, he told him what was up. But when he tells him, Salakia, I forgot his brother's name. He tells him that what's her name? Tamar. Tamar is the sister. He says, "Oh, this is my brother's sister." He doesn't imply that that's his sister. He tried to kind of what's the word? Sugarcoat it. He tried to sugarcoat it, downplay it to make it seem like it really wasn't that big of a deal. That was the excuse. Those excuses that you have in your head that tell you, oh, you've already done it before. You smoked yesterday. Did nobody find out? None of the Akim knew. None of the Akwathim knew. Your mom, your dad, your rib, your husband, whoever. Nobody knows. So what's stopping you from doing it again? First and foremost, somebody did see you. That angel that's been assigned, watched you do it. And he just said, oh, okay. Wrote it down. Went back to the Most High, like, hey, this brother, yeah, he smoked some weed yesterday. Oh, okay. So now the thing is, you look, the Lord is a merciful God, but the Lord can also be terrible. We've read that before too. The Lord can only he'll give you grace, oh, but so much. Remember, at one point, the Lord was so pissed with us that when Moses and Aaron got us up out of Egypt, throughout all that, what do? We started worshiping a golden calf, made an altar for it and everything. And Aaron messed up because he fell victim to it. He made the golden calf, right? And the Lord was so pissed. He was like, you know what, Moses, I'm gonna make a nation just out of you. But Moses, his integrity, he loved his nation. He was a Levite brother, so-called Haitian brother today, right? He loved his people, and he did something that, I mean, look, he convinced the Most High. That's not something easy to do. Okay, he convinced the Most High and said, "Hey, look, we can't do this because it's going to look bad. Like, what was the point of everything then? You know, we got the children of Israel out of Egypt for what? To slaughter them? No, we can't do that. You know, he had the opportunity to have a lineage through just him. And just so y'all know, that wasn't a test. Like the Lord will test you in a lot of different ways. That wasn't a test. The Lord was dead ass serious. He was going to off us and make a nation strictly out of Moses. It would have been the Mosesites or whatever. I don't know. So, but just to show that Moses, he loved his people. His character. That's the thing that I want to talk about. His character, his actions. Job's actions showed his integrity. Even though he was, I guess you could say, rich in a sense, he was rich. He had everything. He was a very well respected man in the East. He had everything, big family. He had it all. What more could you ask for? And all of it was taken away. And even in the midst of that, he still did not curse the Most High. So, what what can you take from that being here in the school? And if you're not in the school, I pray you do come into the school. What can you take from that? You gotta first and foremost be grateful for the things that you have right now. Be grateful that you're still breathing, because the Lord could have got rid of you and me a long time ago for all the things that we've done before coming into the school, right? And He still could, but you know what? The Lord is granting you mercy, right? To be here, to learn the scriptures, to learn what it really means to be a child of Israel. You have the opportunity, so don't take it for granted. Don't do that. You need to understand how self-discipline can go a very, very long way, which I know is something that a lot of us definitely definitely struggle with. And when I say we, I'm talking about all Israelites. We struggle with self-discipline. We do. We struggle with discipline. Why? Because, well, I mean, first and foremost, you can read through all the scriptures. We are very hard-headed people. We always, oh my goodness, we always found some way to disobey the Most High, right? But let's talk about today. A lot of us grew up without a father. A lot of us grew up with single mothers. Some of us didn't have a father or a mother. And I know for brothers, brothers especially, slack it for my language, niggas don't like to listen to other niggas. I'm just being real. Like you see, okay, you go to your slave, it's always usually like an Edomite or something. I'll just use an Edomite as an example. That's your boss, right? Your manager, supervisor, whatever, right? And you're so polite to him or her, whoever, right? A devil's a devil, whatever. But you're so polite to them, right? You walking down the street, you might be in the club. It might be a Edomite right there. They might accidentally bump into you. Oh, my bad, man, my bad. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Let it be a brother, though. Brothers be ready to kill one another over nothing. Nothing. Because that's how you were brought up. You were raised to hate your own people. And it ain't just brothers, sisters too. Sisters be fighting each other. I don't even. It's like I'm not a club person. I don't like going to clubs because I'm tired of seeing people fight all the damn time getting shot up. That's just me though. But the whole point of it is we don't have any self discipline outside of the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. Here you'll learn what self discipline is, what discipline is. Like when your man corrects you, sis, it's not a bad thing. I know sisters in the world, they, have that mentality of, I'm a strong, independent woman. You can't tell me nothing, yada, 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 whatever. No, your man telling you to not answer the door. I'm just using this as an example. To not answer the door unless he's around is to protect you. It's because he loves you. A man that corrects you loves you, because if he don't correct you, that just means he don't care. Like if you show up in front of him one day, and I mean, I pray you never do this, but you smoking weed or whatever, I don't know, right? And he just like, oh, okay, whatever. He don't love you. How? That's not brotherly at all. Same thing, like, okay, if I'm somewhere and, like, let's say me and Swap, we chilling, right? And Swap see me with a cigarette in my mouth. You think Swap is gonna sit there and just let me just sit there? No, let's say y'all can't see it right now. Swap looking like hell no. Like, nah, but why wouldn't the brother do that? Because we have love for one another, right? So that's what real love is. Correcting your people is one of the ways that you show love towards your people. If I could, real quick, I'm actually going to go to Hebrews. We're going to go to Hebrews 12 and 11. Hebrews, book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 11. You there, sis? Yeah. Okay. Most High in Christ. So this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 11. Now, no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous. Like, in the midst of you, like, getting corrected, yeah, it usually don't feel good. Let's be honest, it don't. Nobody wants to be told that they're wrong, or what you did was messed up, or hey, you shouldn't do that, right? But let's keep reading. But grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto that which are exercised thereby. Meaning, in the midst of you getting corrected, yeah, it don't feel good, right? But what it does after, it makes you into a better person, right? It makes you into a better person. When you're being told, okay, let me say, use something as an example. Okay, gossiping. Okay, gossiping, right? Another big problem in Israel, right? If somebody corrects you, right, like, hey, you shouldn't be talking about that brother, or you shouldn't be talking about that sister, right? Matter of fact, if you have a problem with that person, why don't you just go talk to them? Now that's a way of checking somebody. Like, you shouldn't be doing it. Don't speak ill will of somebody else. That's how rumors start. That's how issues start to become a thing. Like, if I'm sitting here and let's say I got a problem or I got an issue with somebody, and I'm talking to my brother about, like, man, I'm so tired of this, that, and the third, right? First and foremost, that's not brotherly. Him allowing me to speak ill will of another brother or sister is unbrotherly, because what that does, that causes, what's the word, strife. It causes strife, because if I'm speaking bad about somebody who's a brother or a sister, and let's say let's say it's like a big crowd of people, and I'm just going off, right? I can't stand this person. He said this to me, da da da, whatever, right? And let's say that person comes in, now everybody gonna look at him or her like, oh, you the dude that Itazan was talking about? Oh, okay. Like, it makes people feel some type, like, oh, like, I don't really know if I really want to rock with that person. No, don't do that, right? You check that, right? You check that. When, okay, for sisters, when your man tells you to cover up your body, right? I know sisters want to feel pretty. We were just talking about this in my last class. Sis, you can keep your clothes on and still look beautiful, right? I'm not even going to go into the details of that. You can just watch the class from last time. But the point being is, he's telling you this to help you, all right? Because there's a lot of weirdos out here. Okay, first and foremost, there's a lot of sexual predators out there, rapists, child molesters, all that stuff. So if you look like a target, they're gonna target you. Sis, when you go out and you showing everything the Lord gave you, all right, you go out to the club and all that stuff because you want attention. You're so desperate for attention. There is a sexual predator somewhere in the midst, and he's not gonna show himself to you as a predator. All right, he's gonna get you drunk, gonna talk to you, say little sweet nothings. I can't tell you how many times that I've heard of sisters being sexually assaulted because of Shalom on Christ side, being sexually assaulted. It's always the same story. Not always, but I hear this story a lot. She was feeling the dude for a little bit. She got comfortable. They got alone. She got away from her friends, and then there you go. But then I hear, oh well, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and then it's too late. Now he took advantage of you, and now you see how it all like boils down to everything. Like having a man that corrects you, that's around you, that's a good thing, sis. It's a good thing. He's protecting you. Okay. Same thing for brothers. For brothers, when somebody tells you you shouldn't be smoking weed, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes, don't get no more tattoos, and you really shouldn't be chilling with them Edomites like that. It's because they care. That they care. If I didn't care, I wouldn't say anything. And Slovakia, a lot of our people out in the world, they don't say anything. They don't. They don't. They just like when you, oh, what is it? I hear this a lot from mothers. I love you no matter what you do. I love you, and I know my son be smoking weed, and I know he likes men. I know he's a sodomite. I know he's in and out of prison. I know he's slanging dope, but I still love him. That's my baby, sis. No. Like that's not love. That's not love at all. Letting your children do whatever the hell they want. That's not love. No. That's why you need a man in the house to correct all that stuff, right? And you're still the mother that don't okay. Don't think that it's just the man's job to correct the children. This you too, sis. You're their mother. So you gotta make sure they get in line too. Okay, because if you don't, hey look, your kids gonna grow up one day. They're not gonna be all cute and cuddly and saying goo goo gaga forever. They're gonna get older, and the way the world is set up right now, if you don't correct your children, they're going to die. They're going to die. Maybe not immediately, but there's plenty of ways to go about it. The LGBTQ community, you might as well just say hello to AIDS and every sexually transmitted disease you could think of. Matter of fact, hold up. If I could touch on that real quick. Because there was an article not that long ago. Let's see. Ah, here we go. So this was okay. The CDC, the National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence survey found for LGBTQ members. So this is another reason why you should not endorse this, right? This is coming from the CDC. These aren't my words, right? So it says right here 44% of lesbians and 61% of bisexual women experience rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner, compared to 35% of straight women. 26% of gay men and 37% of bisexual men, it's the same thing, but experience rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner, compared to the 29% of straight men. Meaning that people in the LGBTQ community actually suffer or have suffered more sexual abuse than a heterosexual person, which is why you shouldn't endorse this, right? And then I know some people, what was it? Some people love to argue that pedophilia doesn't lead to homosexuality. Another reason why you need to protect your children, right? So this is coming from the LGBTQ community. It says right here in the 2015 US Transgender Survey, nearly half, 48% of bisexual women who are rape survivors experienced their first rape between the ages of 11 and 17. You need to protect your kids, man. You gotta protect your kids. I can't stress that enough, right? And that's coming from those aren't my words. I ain't make that up. You can Google it yourself, okay? So for anybody that likes to say that pedophilia doesn't lead to homosexuality, you're wrong. It does, okay? But this is why it's so important for us to have self discipline, to police each other, to have discipline for each other, and this is why. I made the topic today is the truth in you? Do you really want this? You got to ask yourself that, because the Lord knows. The Lord knows you better than you. We already read that in Jeremiah 1:5. You get my point? You need to understand that this is not a game. This ain't something to play with. Okay, this isn't some after school special. This ain't some little book club that you go on the weekends. This ain't your Christian church. If you want to go somewhere and you want to shake tambourines and have a little band and drums and eat pork at Sunday service or whatever, go to a Christian pastor. Do that. And then when he molests your child, then you'll know that this is the home of the truth and that the truth was never in you. Because you can be a child, you could be an Israelite. Being an Israelite, that's already one foot in the door. Now it's up for you to exercise your nationality. Let's use that. It's up to you to do that. And do you really want it? Do you really love your people? Do you really love your children? Do you really love the Most High? Job did. Job did. Jacob did. You get my point? Isaac did. Abraham, they did. Do you? Okay. We read matter of fact, it was on Thursday. We read about the history of Susanna. That was a righteous sister right there. So much that the Lord was so impressed. She got her own section in the Apocrypha dedicated just to her. She feared the Most High. She was in a perfect position to sin against the Most High too. And she was in a very dangerous situation too. Because if y'all don't know, if y'all haven't read the history of Susanna, I suggest you do it. It's not that long of a story. You could probably read it in about 10 minutes, if that. But it's powerful, man. If you haven't read it already, I'll just give you a brief recap of it. This sister right here, I believe she was a Judite, I believe. And it was two priests at the time. They weren't really priests. You can call them false prophets because they were okay. So they wanted to have sex with this woman. This woman was, first of all, she was married. Okay. Everybody knew that she was married. And both of these men wanted to have sex with her. I'm just gonna come out and say it. They wanted to run a train on her. I'm just gonna say what it is. Okay. That's what they wanted to do. Now, they told her, if you don't have sex with us, we're gonna lie and tell everybody else that we saw you with another man. Now it's going to be our word against your word. Now, at the time, they were, to the public, very well respected men, men of power, right? So it's like, okay, you got two men of power versus one woman. Who are you going to believe? And at first, everybody believed them. And they went on with their lie, right? But Susanna, she was a woman who feared the Most High. So when she cried out and she prayed for the Most High to save her, then they rose up Daniel. Okay, and guess what? He did was it interrogation tactic, right? He set them aside. He asked one. He said, "Okay, where did you see Susanna and whoever this man was? Where'd you see him at?" I forgot the name of the trees, but it was two different trees that they said. Long story short, their stories didn't add up. So they caught them in a lie. And thing is, Daniel says something very powerful in the midst of that. He said, "You're waxing old with wickedness." Okay, because he knew that these men have been doing this for a very long time. This wasn't the first time they've done this because they were so comfortable with it. Notice how I said earlier, the Lord is going to expose you if you're sinning on the low. So these two priests, who are no longer priests, they died, they got killed, and rightfully so, because the Lord exposed them through Daniel. And guess what? Susanna got to live, and she had a great reputation. That's why everybody was so upset. Like, wait a minute, Susanna? Like, what? Like, nah, like, there's no way. Like, they were crying because they couldn't believe that someone of her reputation, right? This is a very well respected sister. There's no way she could do something like that. That's why it's good to have a good reputation, through your works, right? But with that being said, it's time, yeah. With that being said, I'll just end the class with that. I don't know if anybody has any questions. You got any questions, sis?
No question.
No questions? Okay.
But I just want to share that I went through something like last week, Christmas weekend,
Mm-hmm.
on my job, because the whole time I've been, it's just sometimes it's so hard. I don't know if they just don't want to hear. You be like, I don't celebrate no holidays, that means,
Right.
I start saying Mother Day, I just say everything.
Right.
It just sometimes seems like they don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So the weekend of Christmas, like on the Friday was at work. And one of the sisters, she's a Hispanic sister. I always tell her because I only work with. It's just like there's two Hispanic sisters and me work in like this little area. We kind of like claimed it. Somebody else come over
Okay.
here to help us. I work at Amazon.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
somebody else come over there to help do the toast. We be like, because they like not put, that we got
Right,
our
right.
little system. But I be like, it ain't. We all here just working. But she had brought me this little Christmas bag that morning. She's like, "Oh, here, this for you." I'm like, "Oh, I don't celebrate Christmas." She's like, "Oh, that's okay." So I'm like, "What's in it?" I happen to look in and I see this little spray. I love sprays and stuff. And I'm like, "Okay." And I put it up where my coat was. As soon as I put it up there, I'm like, "Oh, hell no." So I had to tell her, then I started like putting, saying, he's real crafty and everything,
right.
I got to feel like I don't want to offend her and, don't take her
Right.
and stuff like that. But I gave it back to her. I said, I'm not going to be able to accept this. I said, because I don't celebrate these holidays. But then I kind of felt bad because I shouldn't have took it in the first place. But, we have just being in this flesh, you always want, I don't know what it was. I was just like, I shouldn't even like entertain it and said, okay, I should have just kept, no.
Right, right.
But I gave it back and I said, I can't accept it. I said, 'cause I don't,
Right.
No,
I feel you, sis. And like you what you said was heavy. Like, Satan is very crafty. That's how he the way he works, it comes across as if it's so harmless, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just a gift. Like,
Right.
like she knew that you don't celebrate Christmas and holidays and stuff.
She's like, oh no, it's okay. Like, okay, no, the Lord won't be mad. It's okay. I'm like,
Nah.
But yeah, so
But most high in Christ is that I know, like, for some people that's a very hard thing to do to even give it back. Like, hey, sorry, but I can't accept this because, like you say, people are afraid of hurting each other's feelings and stuff like that. Like those things that we got to deal with. Like, if I could real quick before I close the class, not too long ago, at my slave, that like every year they have this thing called the Christmas party. It's not on Christmas, but it's just the Christmas party, right? And I never go to the Christmas party. Even before I came into the truth, I never went. I think I went. No, I went one time. And when I went that one time, it reminded me why I never liked to go in the first place, because it's just wickedness. Like, you just see all this stuff anyway. Everybody at my slave, they know for the most part about me. Like, hey, he don't really rock with that type of stuff. So one of my coworkers, he was actually a heathen. He asked me, he's like, hey, like, no, actually, it was a few of them. They was like, hey, you gonna come to the Christmas party? I was like, nah, I'm good. But then they kept asking. Like, oh, you sure, man? We know you about to get out soon. It'll just be one last party, man, for old time's sake. And I'm like, nah. And I'll be honest, it was a split moment, very split moment of, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And I'm glad I didn't go, because right after, this is actually a couple of days ago, I went to the gym. I seen one of my coworkers. So we're just talking. He's telling me about what happened at the Christmas party and stuff. And just all I'm going to say, was a lot of wickedness going on. I'm going to just leave it at that. And in my mind, I'm just like, see, I'm so glad I didn't go. So, but those are, if I could, that's things that we're going to have to go through. Even little things like that. Celebrating pagan holidays. I know New Year's just happened. I mean, I pray nobody up in here went to some New Year's party. I pray you didn't, because that angel gonna put a report on your ass. So But that's all I got for that. Just want to say the water to everybody that tuned in for the class. And with that, I'm Mijim, just me up here. sure I get it.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, sis?
Did you ever get those prayers I asked for?
Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting Salakia, sis. I have them too. Like not on me, but they're
Right.
in my house. I have to bring them.
Okay.
Salakia. I do have them though. Salakia.
Yeah.
La Yasharala, which means to Israel. Amadim Apon Yah Hakwadam, which means to stand and face the east. We'll be getting started with the Lord's Prayer. In the Hebrew, this is the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malak with Ka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Latan Lanawa, Lakam, Call, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawath Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawath Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Nawa, Banasaiwan, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayam, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Waha'ala, Wathaparath, La'alamyam, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Hakak, which is the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Babakasha, Lathanlanawa, Hakak, Hakak, Darapa'ah, Ka, that's like it. Call, Makala, Wakal, Madawa, Hakak, Latahar, Ha, Matazarayim, Hakak, La'aquayim, Hamathim, Hakak, Isle, Rakawath, Hatama Allah, Lagarashun, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Thawada, Aman. Hakak, which is the power in the English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Wa Mayaka Allah, Wa Alahayim, Matazab Ya'ah, Alawap Yahana, Ha Alawapyan, Ha Sarunyan, Ha Patazar Yoyan, Haka Ya Yoyan, Waha Akwathian, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Thawada, Amun. The blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yohanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayenya, All, Haharim, Ma'yan, Yaba'ah, Izoya, Ma'aim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, All Yadun, Lamawat, Wagalka, All, Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashun, Shawamar, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyamka, Yawamum, Hashamash, La'ah, Yakaka, Wayarach, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makal, Rai, Yashamar, Napashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'afka, Wabawa'afka, Maida, Wa'ai, Iwalam. Now in the English, Psalms 121. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayim, All, Damaya, Laka, All, Dakarash, Wa'al, Dashakwat, All, Kaya, Hana, Awayebyaka, Yahama, Yawan, Ra'ash, Al, Amaka, Ya'ayamor, Sawada, Wa'ida, Yatazawa, Al, Tazapawanyaka, Amorwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidum, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Shum, Yasharala, Awada, Kaya, Natazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Al-Yaka, Barayath, Yakarathwa, Ahoya, Adawam, Wa, Yashama'alyam, Mawa'aba, Wahagoyam, Gabal, Waimawan, Waimalak, Palashath, Am Yashabya, Tazawar, Gum, Ashawar, Nalawa, Aimum, Hayawa, Zarawai, Labunya, Lawat, Salah, Aisha, Lahum, Kamudyam, Kasaya, Sara'ah, Hayawa, Daman, La'ah, Dama, Shayatamwa, Nada, Yamawa, Kairab, Kazaaba, Kazabak, Makazazal, Manai, Kal, Nasayakamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nyarasha, Lanawa, Ath, Naawath, Alahayim, Alahaya, Shayathamwa, Kagogala, Kakwash, Lapanya, Rawaka, Tharadatma, Basairaka, Wabasa, Wapathka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyahum, Kuala One, Waya, Bakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Adyai, Waya, Kaparwa, Waya, Abadwa, Waya, Daiwa, Kaya, Atha, Shamka, Yahawa, Labaka, Alwan, Alcohol, Harataza. Now, Psalms 83, Psalms 83, in the English, keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God, for lo, thine enemies make a atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel shall be no more remembrance. But they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. A sword also was joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zaid. Yea, all their princes as Zabah, and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as a stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Lord, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. Shalom, Israel.